Holy smokes, we got a lot to discuss in this episode because the stock market is on fire right now. It's at a point where the stocks are surging in price. You have Tesla going 10%, Robinhood going 9% up in a single day. And in this episode, I want to discuss a little bit more into Trump's three economic policies. And on top of that, I want to go a little bit deeper dive into the DoorDash Klarna partnership because in the beginning I thought it was a little bit funny, but in a way I kind of see how it could benefit society. Now, in terms of the three economic policies that Trump has set up right now, he has the first thing is cutting the budget deficit. Right now, USA as a country, we're spending way more money than what we actually produce in taxes. And it doesn't matter whether it's Trump or a Democrat president, they have to deal with this issue. Because if they don't deal with this issue, by the time we're 50 years old, by the time we're come to retirement age, the country's going to be in a huge issue. It has to be taken care of now rather than later. And one of the ways he's doing that is through budget cuts. He's trying to cut at least $1 trillion in spending. He's got Doge in effect, and we have to do our best to cut budgets here on unnecessary spending, because if it is not, we could be spiraling into way bigger issue. Our 10-year, our 30-year treasuries could be getting way higher in interest payments and interest rates, essentially causing another Rome to happen, where the country just collapses because of just not able to handle its fiscal policy. Now, the second policy that Trump has implemented, right? The first one is budget deficits, cutting it out. The second one is creating more jobs in America. And this one, I actually do see it working. In the beginning, it was hard for me to see it work, but by increasing so much tariffs on the whole world and making sure that if you are going to be exporting goods to the USA, you could be facing a ton of tariffs. It caused some of the companies to have investments within the US. For example, today, March 24th, you have Hyundai announcing a $20 billion investment within USA, right? You have TSMC investing money within the factories of USA. You have Apple announcing investments inside of US. So because of that, all of these investments are good to make more jobs in the US. And as a result, I see how he is able to create more jobs in the country. And this is done primarily through tariffs, because if you do not want to create jobs in America, then okay, you could be faced with a ton of tariffs. It's tomato tomato. Now, the third economic policy that Trump has put in place is less regulations. Now, this one has not been the primary focus. The primary focus on the news you see every single day is literally tariff, 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 right? However, the less regulation is important, because when you have less regulation, it could actually lead to more jobs. When you have less bureaucracy, less unnecessary regulations that's put in place, it could cause companies to be more efficient, cause companies to be a little bit faster and make more money, creating more jobs. And these three economic policies that he has set in place, I you know, I don't know if you agree with it or not, but I do see it working, and we'll have to see how it plays in the long run. Because in the short term, it definitely is, you definitely do see an impact about it. Now, on top of other news, besides that, we initially made fun of the DoorDash and Klarna partnership, where you could actually buy now, pay later on the burrito that you buy, or the hamburger that you buy, or the pizza that you buy on DoorDash. And people were on social media, myself included, were had the initial response of, hey, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. Like, don't buy something you cannot afford and put yourself at risk of leverage. Because if you're not able to pay it back, you get into this cycle of debt, of having compounding interest on you. So you don't want to go through that. But then I thought about it, and walking down the streets of San Francisco, you guys, we see a lot of homeless people. We see a lot of families that's struggling. And this is one of those things that would be very beneficial for people that are struggling, that are borderline hungry, that are borderline starving. And this would truly, truly help them out. And I saw that as a way where, all right, it may not benefit everybody, but at least there is a use case for it. There will be certain people that would extremely benefit from this. And I saw that as a good thing that, okay, if at least one family that would have went starving, but they were able to afford food for that day, that is great for them. And that is good for DoorDash to do it. Now I know that's probably not their initial reason for why they had launched the program. It's essentially every corporation, the primary goal is to increase revenues for the company. However, if it also benefits some people, then great. I'm all for it. And then we're going to talk about Waymo. Now, when it comes to Waymo, people say, Andy, like, Waymo has so much competition. I don't know if it's going to succeed or not. And in my eyes, you guys, I only see one competition with Waymo, and that's Zoox. If you're from SF, you will know that there's two self-driving cars right now. It's Waymo and Zoox. And Zoox is considerably way, 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 way smaller than Waymo. So because of that, I actually think Waymo is going to destroy this market, just crush it up, just because they have the first movers advantage, and they just have so much experience in doing this at this moment in time. Now you might say, Andy, what about Tesla? What about their full self-driving? I know Tesla calls it full self-driving, but it's really driver assistance, right? They fully have so much focus on driver assistance that they happen to call it full self-driving. Because one of the biggest issue that happens with the Tesla, you guys, and I drive a Tesla myself, is that if the cameras were to get blurry, right, such as from rain, from dust, from I don't know, anything that could block the cameras, that's a huge liability for the car, and the full self-driving stops working at that moment. So yes, while it's a good sunny day, a perfect day, the full self-driving works great because Tesla uses cameras as their sensors. When the cameras are blocked, the whole system falls apart. And that's why I am not considering it as an actual competitor to Waymo and Zoox. Now, what makes Zoox and Waymo so different is that they use LiDAR and radar to have their sensors work correctly. So even though, let's say, their cameras are blocked, their cameras can't see so well, that's fine. They use a superior technology to make sure that they can still detect humans on the crosswalk and make sure that they have a perfect safety record. I had recently bought into Robinhood stock, and the company, literally the moment I bought it, has been going up every single day. That the only direction it's seen is up. And now it's at a point where the company is like 20% up in a single week. Because it's gone up so much so quickly, it's gotten to a point where I actually have started considering of selling out of the position, at least taking some profits in a way. The reason behind this is that I did not expect Robinhood to go up this much, especially when the news that's been announced hasn't really been any specific news related to Robinhood. The only main thing is that the rate cuts that's announced by Jerome Powell, that we have expected two rate cuts for the year. But with that being said, I would not be paying up almost $50 a share for Robinhood stock. I bought into it a little bit at $36 and then another sum at $39. And now the company is trading at a $48 per share. And it's at a point where I just never experienced a case like this where a company, the moment you buy it, only went up and surged up in price. And it's come to a point where if Robinhood keeps on going higher and higher, I will have to make a sale because unlike my Costco's, unlike my Microsoft, my Google of the world, this is not something I consider as a really, really long-term holding, right? Because the price of Robinhood really fluctuate big time. There can be moments when the company goes up 20%, but then there can also be moments where the company drops 50% in a single month or so. I want to make sure I limit my risk with Robinhood. There are certain companies that I'm willing to hold no matter what, whether the company falls down 30 or 40%. But then you have other companies like the Robinhoods of the world who don't have the same type of pedigree as the Microsofts or the Costco's, yet they're still good companies. It's just that because they don't have the same type of resume as the other companies, I am a little bit more open to selling them or taking my profits and moving on to another stock. And that's something that's been on my mind about Robinhood stock. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know if I should sell or hold or buy more of Robinhood. But the moment I bought into the stock, it's literally just gone up nonstop. And with that, you guys, I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you then. Bye bye.